you updated on the latest details regarding the families impacted by Sunday's horrific mass shooting in Shreveport that took the lives of 8 young children.
Well, we confirmed with Shreveport police the surviving child that escaped by jumping off the roof is a 12-year-old girl, and she is out of the hospital. Also, the representative wanted to clear up rumors circulating online about the mothers. 2 mothers injured in the shooting are discharged from the hospital.
This morning, the community released balloons at the Johnny L. Cochran Head Start in honor of 5-year-old Braylon and 6-year-old Kadarian Snow, 2 of the 8 children killed in Sunday's mass shooting. Now, Braylon Snow was a current student at the center, while Kadarian was a former student. The family members and city officials, as well as teachers and even the boys' classmates, attended this balloon release, all of them sharing prayers and powerful words before letting their balloons go.
Tonight, a family is devastated after losing 8 children in the mass shooting on Sunday.
And now family members are revealing the troubling circumstances they say led up to the murders.
So I know that there was some infidelity she didn't necessarily express it to me, but I do know that she came to me and she asked me about helping her properly file for a divorce. And to my understanding, prior to this incident, they were scheduled to go to court on Monday, which was the next day. My cousin did express that, he was augmentative about it, so he was having arguments with her about it, but there was no physical anything that was going on, not prior to what went on.
And it was actually the same month, probably like 20 years ago, a crossfire. And now they got to relive this same tragedy, 20 years.
The morning of April 19th, 2026, began like any other Sunday in the Cedar Grove neighborhood of Shreveport, Louisiana, until it became the worst day this community had ever known. 8 young children, full of life and promise, were taken in a single act of unimaginable violence that shattered families, exposed deep cracks in the systems meant to protect them, and left an entire city searching for answers that may never fully come. This is not just another news story that fades after a few days. This is the full account of what happened to Christina Snow, Shaniqua Pugh, their children, and the man who ended their lives, drawn from verified police reports, family interviews with major outlets, court documents, and the painful truths that emerged in the days that followed. Christina Snow walked out of the hospital just days after the shooting with a bullet still lodged in her body, a decision doctors made because removing it carried too great a risk. She did not go home to rest. Instead, she went straight to the Johnny L. Cochran Head Start Center where one of her children had attended. She stood among grieving family members, teachers, and classmates, held a balloon in honor of her 5-year-old son Braylon and 6-year-old Kadarian, and when the moment came, she let it go into the sky. All of this while her mind sometimes refused to accept what had happened. There were days she woke up asking others to help her get the children ready for school. Those children were not coming home. Her cousin spoke directly to NBC News about the haunting reality Christina faced each morning. That single image of a mother releasing a balloon while carrying a bullet inside her tells you everything about the strength these families showed and the depth of the loss they endured. Let us go back to the beginning so you understand not only what happened but how it unfolded and why so many warning signs existed that never reached the people who could have acted. Christina Snow lived on Harrison Street in Cedar Grove with her 3 children from her relationship with Shamar Elkins. Braylon Snow, 5 years old, Kadarian Snow, 6, and Soraya Snow, 11. Just 1 block away on West 79th Street lived Elkins with his wife Shaniqua Pugh, 34 years old, and their 4 daughters, Jayla, 3, Shayla, 5, Kayla, 6, and Layla, 7. Also in that household were Shaniqua's sister Kosha Pugh, her husband Troy Brown, and their 2 children, 10-year-old Mark Aiden and 12-year-old Mariana. 2 homes, 1 block apart, 7 children between them, and a marriage that was ending in pain and finality. The divorce had already been filed. Infidelity was part of the cited reasons. The court date to finalize everything was set for Monday, April 20th, the very next day after that Sunday morning. On April 10th, just 9 days before the shooting, Shaniqua had reshared a social media post that read, "For the first time in my life, I don't want to be nobody's woman or wife. I'm choosing me, my peace, and my freedom." She added her own caption, "This is the one." Those words carried the weight of a woman who had decided to move forward, but they also marked a moment of extreme vulnerability in a situation that was rapidly deteriorating. Troy Brown, Shaniqua's brother-in-law, later confirmed details to reporters, including CNN, describing how the house on West 79th Street pulsed with noise, laughter, and the constant movement of children. It was never quiet. Until suddenly it was. 3 years earlier, In 2023, Shaniqua had considered leaving. According to Betty Walker, the woman who helped raise Shamar Elkins and who spoke to the New York Times, Elkins responded with a direct threat when the possibility of separation and taking the children came up. He told her he would take her life, he would take the children's lives, and he would take his own. Shaniqua stayed. When she raised the issue again later, he dismissed it by saying he was just playing. Those words remained inside the family. They never became a police report. They never entered any domestic violence database. They never triggered any official intervention. For 3 years that threat lived only in private conversations, invisible to every system designed to catch such warnings before they become reality. Researchers who have studied intimate partner violence for decades are unanimous on one point. Explicit threats made in the context of an impending separation are among the strongest predictors of lethal outcomes. This was not an impulse. It was a declared possibility that went unrecorded. By early 2026, the pressure had built across 2 households. Financial strain, custody concerns, and the emotional weight of a marriage ending took their toll. In February 2026, Shamar Elkins checked himself into the Veterans Affairs Hospital in Shreveport following a suicide attempt. He went voluntarily and stayed for approximately 10 days. When he returned home, the conditions had not changed. The dissolving marriage, the separate households, the children caught in between, everything remained exactly as it was. Troy Brown asked him directly if he thought he needed to go back. Elkins replied that he was fine and that he was just going to deal with it. 10 days after coming home, he posted publicly on Facebook, "Dear God, today I ask you to help me guard my mind and my emotions. When negativity arises, remind me to say it does not belong to me." The post was visible to anyone who followed him. On Easter Sunday, April 5th, 2 weeks before the shooting, Elkins called his mother Mahalia and stepfather Marcus Jackson in Oklahoma. He was in tears. He spoke about dark thoughts and the impending divorce. Marcus tried to reassure him. Then Elkins said something that stayed with Marcus long afterward: "Some people don't come back from their demons." The call ended. No welfare check was requested. No crisis line was called. As the New York Times noted in its reporting, most families respond to such conversations exactly this way because most of the time they do not end in tragedy. But this one did. Questions remain about whether a full lethality screening was conducted at the VA before discharge, whether the pending divorce was flagged as a major risk factor, and whether his 2019 conviction that legally barred him from possessing firearms until at least 2029 was properly cross-referenced with his release plan. As of now, no public answers have been provided on those specific points. That 2019 conviction is significant. It prohibited Elkins from legal firearm possession, yet on the morning of April 19th he had access to weapons. Later investigations by the ATF and federal prosecutors would charge 2 other men, Charles Ford and Michael Myance, both with illegal firearm possession linked to this case. The weapon used was traced through a series of hands that should never have held it. 2 convicted felons and another individual under domestic violence protection order, all connected through one firearm. A prohibition on record since 2019 that no system enforced until it was too late. The night before the shooting, April 18th, Elkins took his eldest daughter out on a special date, just the 2 of them. He posted about it on social media with laughing emojis. Shaniqua reshared the post and wrote, "That's what's wrong with her now. He spoils her. As long as she's happy, I'm happy." That message went up the night before he took the lives of her siblings. At 9 o'clock that evening, Troy Brown left for his night shift. Elkins was calm on the front porch, joking with Brown as he backed the car out. 10-year-old Marcaden was inside the house when Brown drove away. Marcaden did not survive the night. Family members who knew Elkins described a man who loved his children deeply. They spoke of trips to the park, meals out, playing outside together. Troy Brown told reporters he loved his kids and his wife and that he simply did not understand what happened. Another relative received a text from Elkins on April 10th asking her to call because he needed to hear her voice. She never called back and later described it as the biggest regret of her life. Researchers who study familicide cases note that perpetrators often show a period of stillness in the hours before they act. The decision has already been made. Outwardly, nothing seems unusual. That stillness was present here. At approximately 5 in the morning on April 19th, Elkins went to Christina Snow's address on Harrison Street. According to her family, she had no warning. When she was able to reach emergency services despite life-threatening injuries, she used Siri to place the call. Elkins then took her 3 children and drove the short distance to West 79th Street. At 5:55 a.m. Shreveport police received the first call. Within minutes officers were responding to multiple scenes. Kosher Pugh had made it to the roof along with the 12-year-old girl who would survive by jumping. At 5:59 a.m. Elkins was identified by name. All occupants at the West 79th Street house were reported shot. Officers arrived, cleared the scene, and found 7 children inside. One child was on the back roof. Evidence at the rear door showed desperate attempts to escape. At 7:30 a.m. Shamar Elkins was pronounced dead in Bossier City following a confrontation with officers after carjacking and chase. Whether his death resulted from officer gunfire or self-inflicted wound remains under active investigation by Louisiana State Police. The scale of the response was immense. Shreveport Police Chief Wayne Smith described it as one of the most challenging incidents the department had ever faced. Officers worked 5 different crime scenes in a short period. The community was in shock. 8 children gone before the neighborhood had fully woken up. 5 girls and 3 boys. Jayla Elkins, 3 years old. Shayla Elkins, 5. Breland Snow, 5. Kadarian Snow, 6. Kayla Pugh, 6. Layla Pugh, 7. Markaden Pugh, 10. Soraya Snow, 11. Soraya had dreams of opening a homeless shelter one day. Her younger brothers wanted to become community leaders. Those futures were taken in minutes. This tragedy carried an even heavier weight for the Pugh family. Approximately 20 years earlier, in the same month of April, both Shaniqua and Kosher Pugh had lost their own mother in a crossfire shooting in Shreveport. Now they had to bury their children in the same city, in the same month, to gun violence once again. Lionel Pugh, their uncle, spoke to reporters about the unimaginable pain of reliving that history. 2 sisters who had rebuilt their lives after losing their mother now faced the loss of the next generation. Shaniqua remained hospitalized and recovering in the days after. Christina Snow and Kosher Pugh were eventually discharged. Kosher attended a vigil for the children in a wheelchair and posted a heartbreaking apology to her own children, saying she was sorry she could not save them. In the weeks leading up to April 19th, 5 separate data points existed across different systems. The 2019 firearms conviction. The February 2026 VA hospitalization after confirmed suicide attempt. The 2023 death threat that stayed private. The active divorce with a court date the next morning. And a man in the same household watching the decline up close and asking whether more help was needed. Not one of those data points connected to another. Not one triggered a cross-agency response. Not one was considered enough. In March 2026, just 1 month earlier, the Shreveport City Council had voted to withdraw from a partnership with the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office to operate a domestic violence resource center. 1 month later, 8 children were gone. The timing raises painful questions about resources and prevention in a city that has seen too much gun violence. 4 separate investigations remain active: the ATF's full firearms inquiry, federal prosecutions of the individuals who supplied the weapon, the Louisiana State Police investigation into the officer-involved shooting and Elkins' death, and the Shreveport Police Department's motive investigation. None have produced final public findings yet, but when they do, new details may emerge about how the weapon moved and what, if anything, could have interrupted the path to that morning. The surviving 12-year-old girl who jumped from the roof is out of the hospital. The 2 mothers who were injured have been discharged. The community has come together with balloon releases, vigils, prayers, and powerful words from classmates, teachers, and city officials. Yet the pain remains raw. Christina Snow still carries the bullet. She still has moments when her mind protects her from the full weight of the loss. Families are left to raise the surviving children while grieving the ones who are gone. Troy Brown described the house that once pulsed with life now carrying only silence. Relatives speak of the man who loved his children and yet committed the unthinkable. No one claims to have a complete explanation. Some things may never be fully understood. What we do know is that explicit threats, mental health crises, pending separations, and illegal firearms create a combination that too often ends in tragedy when the pieces are never connected. Researchers emphasize that separation is one of the highest risk periods in domestic situations involving prior threats. The VA discharge returned a man in crisis to unchanged stressors. The firearm prohibition existed on paper but failed in practice. The 2023 warning never reached authorities. Each of these represents a door that stayed open. The question that matters now is which of those doors need to remain open and which ones must be closed more effectively for the next family facing similar circumstances. There is no simple answer, but asking the question forces us to look honestly at prevention. The children who died deserved every single year that was taken from them. They deserved birthdays, school achievements, friendships, and the chance to grow into the dreams they talked about. Brelan and Kadarian at the Head Start Center. Soraya with her big plans to help the homeless. The younger ones who simply wanted to play and be loved. Their names should be remembered: Jayla, Shayla, Brelan, Kadarian, Kayla, Layla, Markaden, Soraya. 8 bright lives ended before they truly began. Their families continue to grieve while also showing remarkable strength in public, attending vigils, speaking to media, and supporting one another. This case reached people across the country and beyond because the scale of loss is almost incomprehensible. 8 children in one morning. A father who killed 7 of his own and a nephew. 2 mothers shot. A 12-year-old girl forced to jump from a roof to survive. It is the kind of story that makes people stop and question everything about safety, mental health support, domestic violence prevention, and firearm access. Shreveport police worked multiple scenes that morning with professionalism under horrific conditions. Federal agents moved quickly on the firearm trafficking angles. Yet the larger questions about connected systems remain. How do we make sure a 2023 threat is recorded? How do we improve discharge planning for veterans in crisis? How do we enforce existing prohibitions more effectively? How do we support families before they reach the breaking point? Christina Snow's decision to leave the hospital and release that balloon while still carrying the physical evidence of the shooting inside her body stands as one of the most powerful images from this tragedy. It speaks to a mother's love that violence could not break. It speaks to resilience in the face of unbearable loss. It speaks to a community that refuses to let these children be forgotten even as investigations continue. As of early May 2026, the families are planning funerals and memorials. The surviving child is recovering. The mothers are healing physically while carrying enormous emotional burdens. The city of Shreveport is mourning and asking its own questions about safety and support. No script, no report, no narration can bring back the 8 children who were lost on April 19th. What it can do is ensure their names are spoken, their stories are told accurately, and the lessons from this horror are not ignored. The warning signs were there but fragmented. The systems existed but did not connect. The threats were known but not formalized. In the aftermath, the community has shown love, support, and a determination to honor the victims. Balloon releases, prayers, classmates sharing memories, teachers standing with families. These small acts of humanity stand against the darkness of that morning. If you are listening to this and someone in your life is facing domestic threats, separation violence risks, or mental health struggles, resources exist. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available. Local crisis lines, veteran support services, and family counseling programs can make a difference before situations escalate. Reaching out is not weakness. It is the responsible action that could prevent the next tragedy. The investigation continues. New findings from the ATF, federal prosecutors, state police, and local authorities will add more detail in the coming weeks and months. When those updates come, they deserve careful attention because every verified fact helps complete the picture. This channel exists to cover cases like this with depth, named sources, and respect for the victims. The 8 children of Cedar Grove deserved better. Their families deserve answers. And the community deserves a serious conversation about how to protect the next generation from repeating this kind of pain. We say their names again so they are never forgotten. Shamar Elkins, Shayla Elkins, Breland Snow, Kadarian Snow, Kayla Pugh, Layla Pugh, Markaden Pugh, Soraya Snow. 8 children. One morning. A loss that will echo in Shreveport for years to come. Their lives mattered. Their futures mattered. And the way we respond to this tragedy, the changes we demand in systems and support, will determine whether anything positive can still be born from such profound sorrow. The families continue to grieve. The survivors continue to heal. The city continues to stand with them. And the rest of us are left with the responsibility to pay attention, to ask the hard questions, and to push for better ways to catch warning signs before they become headlines. This was the story of April 19th, 2026, in Cedar Grove. Not the kind of story anyone wants to tell, but one that must be told completely, honestly, and with the gravity it demands. The children are gone, but their memory demands action. Their families carry pain no parent should ever know. And the community that lost them refuses to let their short lives be defined only by how they ended. They were loved. They were happy. They were the laughter and movement in those two houses one block apart. That is how they should be remembered.